Alright, so I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. So I just finished my first year at LA Trade Tech. My name is Janet Olivia, and I decided to go back to school for fashion design. And Trade Tech is a community college. Hold up, there's dogs barking. Okay. LA Trade Tech is a community college here in LA, and it's more like a trade school, so it is catered towards people who are already working full-time jobs. And so the classes are like either on Saturdays or on the evenings or really early in the morning. It's a really cool school. I really like it because I don't think we value trades enough. I went to UCLA, and although I really value the education I learned there, I feel like I have been so much more fulfilled learning how to sew and how to make things with my hands. And yeah, Trade Tech is kind of considered like a ghetto school. It's more in the downtown LA area, closer to South Central. And although, because there is a lot of homeless people in that area, like something that makes it so weird is that they lock the bathrooms so that people don't go in there, like people who aren't students don't go in there. And it's really unfortunate because I remember one time I had Saturday class and I had a really bad accident, but that's not what this video is about. I'm going to talk about my experience as someone who, I actually quit my job last year and then decided to be a full-time student. I have a job again now, but I just completed my first year and I'm taking the summer off, and I'm going to finish my second year, and I already enrolled in my fall classes. But I'm going to talk you through the classes I took, some of the things I learned, and then my goals for next year, and then I guess what I want to do with that. But yeah, so let me show you some of my work. Here it is. So here is my list, my unofficial transcript. So I did take some classes in the summer, but then I had enrolled in Trade Tech while I was still working my previous full-time job, and I was taking GIS, which is a mapping software program that I somewhat learned about in geography when I was at UCLA. But as I was taking it, I kind of realized maybe this isn't what I want. And in the fall, I took clothing construction and intro to fashion art and design, which were both my introduction into like fashion, and I haven't looked back from then. Then I enrolled in winter and then spring, and I've been pretty much having a sewing machine for 2 years, and it wasn't until the clothing construction class that I actually really learned how to use it. This is what I want to this was what was really cool about the clothing construction class. So I learned all these sewing things, and we made this folder so I could use it as a reference. So for example, so I learned French seams, bias, darts, spaghettis, zippers, bias binding, Peter Pan collars, and then I have some patterns of stuff I made. So we made a lot of garments throughout the class, so, and it all like kind of accelerated in difficulty as we went along. And keep in mind that this was during the height of COVID, so we were online. But I think some of the intro classes for fashion design actually benefited from being online through Zoom, especially the clothing construction one. So we had class in the morning, and I kind of pretty much just followed along because, like, for me, cutting took so long. Like, she would be doing an example of how to sew something, but I hadn't even cut out my pattern yet, or I was cutting while I was watching. So I am a little bit slower in the sewing, but let me show you some of the final projects I made. So here are some trousers. I had them put away. I really messed up the back pocket, but I am gonna try it again sometime. And then I really like how I made these darts in the front and different colored contrasting thingies. I forgot what they're called. It has a zipper in here. I really need to get better. I just need to do more practice, so I'm gonna be working on some sewing projects this week, and then as the weeks play out in August before school starts, and I have more projects, but I really need to like start practicing, like just doing more things. But this is one of the pants, and then this one is a vest, and I'm really happy about this. And I had these put away, so I should have probably ironed it before I made this video, but I'm just so excited. So this is the vest. This I need to iron it so it could be more pointier, but this out actually pretty good. Has a lot of cat hair. The pockets came out really good. And then the lining inside was so hard, but it is so pretty. It's a cheetah, and then there's like a dart in here. This one is something probably that I can save and then, you know, give to a baby in the future. I really like it. The pants are kind of weirdly sized that I don't think it'll ever fit any baby or anything, but these two were some of my final projects for the class. And that's clothing construction with fashion art. That one was really, really fun. So I got to buy this giant portfolio. I'm gonna show you some of the stuff we worked on. So in the beginning, it was a lot of drawing and shading. So I did get to practice a lot. And again, like, this is stuff I should keep practicing. I have all the materials I bought, like the notepads and sketch pads, over there in my sewing table. So I'm gonna keep practicing. This is one of the projects. So I designed a sewing brand. I mean a swimwear. So here they are, and we sketched them out. So I did a cover, a skirt that has embellishment, embroidery on the top. This really cool swimsuit that I would actually wear. And then one of my final projects was this one. Hopefully I'm on camera. But I was really inspired by the Sweetener tour by Ariana Grande. So I wanted to do something super like pop artist tour. And then this is Tulle Gold. This is inspired by Madonna's like bustier bra thing. So this is like wedding themed. That's why I like it. And then this is cow print and pink and purple outfit. I really like it a lot. And I'm hoping to fill this folder with more of my work as I keep practicing. So I was in the fall, and then winter quarter. The weird thing about LA Trade Tech, hold on. The weird thing about LA Trade Tech is that it is a school where, like I said, it's catered towards people who are, you know, pursuing some trades or certifications to excel even more in their job. But also, it's kind of like full semesters, but in the fashion department, a whole full semester is divided into session 1 and session 2. So I don't know, they're 10 weeks, but the regular schedule is like a long 16, 20 weeks. So fashion is 10 and 10. So I took clothing construction 1 the first 10 weeks, and then I took basic fashion art and design the second session. But then in winter, it's kind of weird because then it is kind of like just 10 weeks. So winter is considered similar to a summer session, so they're smaller, and we are only allowed to take a certain amount of units. And for winter, I took history of costume and then textiles, and most of my notes are in this notebook. So we pretty much learned like the history of fashion. So it's kind of cool that I was able to like relearn history and stuff that I don't even remember learning in high school. Probably because I was just so distracted and like wasn't really paying attention. But because we talked about it in like the fashion sense, like I learned so much. And I probably have a lot of my notes in this folder here. I put all my important like paperwork here, like my classes I need to take, and like syllabuses from old classes in here. So let me see if I have anything to show. Probably not. I should have looked for it before. But see, like we printed out the Renaissance, so I really like this era because that's when they started introducing more colors. So that was really cool to learn the history. Obviously, like some stuff that we are not able to learn, which is like pre-colonial history. So I did look into Maya, like weaving and like embroidery things from indigenous populations. But because that history has been like exploited and, you know, people were colonized and books were burned, like we don't have a lot of that history, unfortunately. So a lot of what we learned was more through a European context, Western context. So hopefully I am able to learn about more of fashion in pre-colonial times a little bit more. I know that there is one book I saw on Amazon that I want to purchase somewhere else or on a library. But maybe I'll show it in another video because I do want to make more videos related to fashion. So, and then textiles was super cool. We learned like what different kinds of textiles and also like different procedures of how clothing is made. So we watched a lot of videos and we learned kind of like a little bit of the science about certain textiles. Like some of them are more organic, some of them are plastic. And that was cool. We did a lot of projects. I don't know if it's in the video, but this is one of my projects. I did weaving. So I bought a loom and then I learned about weaving. So I learned about that and that helped apply certain like knit style fabrics. So this is one of my favorite ones, and I've continued weaving a little bit. So this is one of my favorite ones I have. I'm probably gonna give this one to my sister because she liked it last time she was here. But we learned about like weft and just like the directions. So kind of like a knit pattern dress or sweater. They are all directional and stuff. And also we learned about fabric manipulation. So here I did like a gathering. So this is just some old cloth I had put away from an old skirt I didn't wear. And what I did was I straightened it out and I did little dots, and then I think this is called I'm forgetting the word, but pretty much you see this like on ruffles or on like necks when they want to stretch out a material that isn't really stretchy. But this is super cool. It was super time tedious, and I did it all by hand sewing. And then this is another one of my projects. So pretty much you take a whole bunch of leftover like cloth, and I piled it up in between this pink sabana. It was a sabana. It was my bed sabana. And then I sewed on top of it like lines and stuff, and then I cut it and have all the fabrics coming out. And it's pretty cool. It's like another form of fabric manipulation, and this could be made into like a handbag with this textile. I was thinking of patching it somewhere. Someone in class made like a corset out of there. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the words for this. But what is this called? I'll probably put it in like a caption or whatever. Alright, so that was winter quarter, and that one went by fast. I got straight A's on that one, both my classes. And then this last semester has been one of my favorites as well. I put everything I learned in this folder. So I took illustration, which is using Adobe Illustrator, and then entrepreneurial fashion, so how to like create your own business plan, and both classes kind of worked well together. So in the business class, I created a business plan, and with Illustrator, I took it with the same professor that taught me like the drawing. So this one was cool to learn how to apply it on Illustrator. But this is my illustration final. So I created my brand, and then let me show you an example. So we did everything. So like the flats. So these are flats. Made a skate, and then the colors. So let me show you one example that I really like. This bodysuit with the color samples. This dress. Oh, and then the skates I made. So it was really cool. I'm going to keep practicing Illustrator. I do have an idea for something I'm going to work on. I'll probably post it up on my Instagram. But that was like a whole final project for the class. I got a B in the class. I wish I would have done better. And then my business plan. So here, this part of the folder, I have my letter to the person that I'm going to propose this business to. And then I have all like the number stuff, like all my plans. So I'm not gonna show you that because just in case it happens for me one day. And then I just printed out all the syllabus, all the work presentations we did, that we received in the class. So I have this all here as my manual. So that class was cool. The classes I'm signed up for in the fall is basic pattern making and grading and marker making. So those are 2 separate classes, and that's gonna level up my sewing because it's gonna help me create my own patterns. And also, yeah, that's gonna be hard. It's a lot of math in like pattern making, but that's why I want to practice my sewing. I do have something I want to sew today, and that's like the best thing about this class is it's making me more confident in making my own things. So let me show you something I made. I sewed this last week, and it was from an old t-shirt, but I sewed a corset. It even has like the back. Oh my god, there's chocolate on my top. What the fuck? What was I eating when I wore it and I didn't notice? Yeah, so it even has like the garments. I don't know what they're called. Fuck, I need to learn a lot of my vocabulary. And then I made the spaghetti. There's boning in here. I bought this little bedazzler thing. That's something really cool I made. And then I'm really getting into embroidery right now as well. And embroidery is another form of fabric manipulation. So right now, like, I do have my business plan. I made my illustrations for a line that I want to make, but I feel like I still need to practice like how to actually like use my sewing machine. I bought a serger as well because I do want to make a lot of activewear, and I haven't even broken it in. I have not used it, so I'm probably gonna use that next week. But here's another embroidery. This little nug. I fucking love this one, and I'm gonna embroider this whole overall as one of my projects, and also something to sew. But yeah, so overall that's my class, and I'm gonna show you some of the numbers. So my goal with going back to school and being an LA trade tech is I do want to I want to get my certification, so it's going to take me 2 years. It'll probably take me 3 years because I'm going to take some extra classes just so I could learn more before I take my final class. I think the final class is you make your own line, and then you have like a runway, a fashion show at the end for like the graduating class for fashion design. But yeah, I want to take bustier making. I want to take athleisure clothing. So I think those are my focuses. I want to make like pole wear and also activewear. So I don't have much to compare to because I don't feel like I am gonna pursue like higher education besides the certification. I don't know if I'm gonna keep going to school for fashion design. Who knows, things could change, but that's not my goal. I feel like I want to find a job with the certification, and if not, then it's just gonna be something that I know, and I'll be able to apply these skills to like maybe create my own side business. But just for the whole year, I have to pay less than $1,000 for all my classes I took, which were 6 classes. I don't consider that a lot compared to when I was at UCLA. I would see my student bill and it would be $30,000 a year, give or take. And thankfully, I was able to get that covered through in-state like tuition assistance. And I qualified for it. But right now I am going to be paying out of my own pocket. And for 4 classes that I signed up for in the fall coming up, it's $650. And that's, yeah, like the grading and pattern making. And I'm also taking textile science, which I am super, super excited about. So I guess it's like more of the science side of like what our materials are made out of. And I think this is something really important to know because for me, I do want to make athleisure clothing. But the really bad thing about athleisure clothing is a lot of it is plastic and man-made materials, human-made materials. So a lot of the stuff there ends up in landfills or gets incinerated because the substance is toxic, and like, you know, athleisure clothing is not as biodegradable as like cotton. So this is learning more about this is gonna help me like think about if I was to make my own brand, how would I do it? How could I be as environmentally conscious? Because the fashion industry is very, very wasteful, and that's why I'm kind of hesitant about um, getting started right away in making clothes. So that's why I've been altering clothes I already have. That's my main focus, and also it saves me money. And then the next class I'm taking is Fashion Sketch and Design 1. So this is like a level up from the intro to like fashion art. Just because I want to learn how to like sketch out my ideas and like learn more color theory and get my sketch notebooks more use out of them. So that's my fall classes I'm taking, and my goal is, I don't know, like my goal is I do want to create my own line in the future. I want to work for myself, and I want to finish the certification and have like a job that'll put me in the field. I think something that I would really, really like love to see as my dream job, and I feel comfortable calling it my dream job because when I quit my job in October, I was just so over it, and I was like, I'm going to be a full-time student, and I just don't see myself working anymore. I'm so tired. But something I don't feel like I would dread so much is if I worked in like the entertainment industry, maybe custom making for a movie or a TV show, or if I really get more into the illustration side of things, like working on Illustrator, like designing things. Um, I don't know what, because the fashion is so like diverse. Like I really like the hands-on thing, like learning how to sew and garment make, but also I'm planning on taking Photoshop because I just took Illustrator. Maybe I'll take another level of Illustrator to learn even more. But all this like computer stuff is like really, really important in fashion because we're gearing more towards like that kind of work or that kind of like designing. Um, so, and then also like the whole science. I don't know, there's just so much to learn. So I am really excited for all the classes I'm going to take in the future, and it's kind of interesting to see that FITM, which is a really well-known fashion school, is right also in downtown, but it's in the side of downtown where it's a little nicer. You know, there's a Whole Foods there, a lot of juice bars, really, really nice luxury apartments. So it's kind of like a gentrified side of downtown. Um, but both schools, LA Trade Tech and FITM, are super close to like the sewing fashion district of downtown LA, and I haven't been there that much recently because of COVID, and like that's a hot spot. There's so many people, but I'm just so excited for everything I've been learning. And although my goals aren't as similar to other people who go to fashion school and then get like a degree, like a bachelor's in design, and then continue going to school, like I'm just so grateful that I decided to go back to school, and I'm working towards my certification, and I'm learning all these skills, and I feel like with my interests in like skating and pole dancing, I feel like I am slowly gonna find my niche of what I am gonna be creating and what I want to be creating and designing, and yeah, I'm hoping I have one more month left before school starts. I'm hoping I could get a good amount of projects in before school starts, and then also that my projects once school does start are fucking cool and I learn a lot. Maybe I'll make another a video like how to crochet, because I crocheted this hat, and that's something new I'm learning. I'm gonna crochet a top next week, but I do want to make videos